Today we are breaking down the list of TSA airport security secrets that they definitely hoped we would never find out. The first thing that TSA agents are not going out of their way to tell passengers is that they have a lot less power than you think. TSA officers are there to look for things that could be a threat to the plane, the passengers, or the crew. They aren't looking for drugs or walking around with handcuffs, and they can't arrest you. So if a TSA officer finds something in your bag that shouldn't be there, but it's not a direct security threat, then the most that they can do is call the local police and let them handle it from there. The next thing passengers have no idea about is how many rights we actually have. You can legally film or photograph TSA officers and security checkpoints, provided it does not interfere with the screening process or capture any sensitive information. And if you are ever asked to do something that you don't want to do, like show an agent your phone, just ask them, "Am I legally required to do this?" You might be surprised by the answer. I certainly was. For example, you can be asked to power on your phone or tablet or laptop, but TSA cannot make you unlock it or force you to show them things like your photos, messages, files, or anything else. Your passport also doesn't have to go in a screening bin, and you can legally carry it with you through the body scanner. You can also opt out of the body scanner and ask for a pat-down instead with a private screening area, a same-gender officer, a witness, and even request that they wear a fresh set of gloves. And this is exactly why I started Gate C71, which is my free Friday travel newsletter. Every week, I share the TSA changes, airline updates, and travel tips that most passengers don't hear about until they're already at the airport. You can sign up to get Gate C71 for free in your inbox by scanning the QR code on the screen or by clicking the link in the video description and pinned comment. And speaking of body scanners, let us know down in the video comments how you feel about going through the body scanner at the TSA airport security checkpoint. I personally don't have a problem with it today, but I definitely would not have gone through it 15 years ago. And while you are down there in the comments section, it would also be very helpful if you could subscribe to the channel as well as give this video a like. It is a free way to support Ollie and me in making this content, and it also helps other travelers find it. So, thank you. Secret number 3 is that the scanner you walk through today is not the same one that TSA was using a decade ago. The original body scanners were called backscatter X-ray machines, and they produced a very detailed image of the person inside of them. Now we're talking about a nearly photographic, full body scan that showed the actual shape of your body underneath your clothes. Critics called them digital strip searches, and honestly, that wasn't much of an exaggeration. You had no idea who was looking at the photo, for how long, or what they were doing with it. There were even documented cases of agents saving images and sharing them internally. Yikes. Congress eventually stepped in, and by 2013, TSA had phased out all of the backscatter machines and replaced them with the scanners that you see today. These ones use software that generate a generic, cartoon-like outline of a person, and it just flags the area where something looks off, such as if you left something in your pocket. Something else that was quietly phased out once people found out about it was a program called Quiet Skies. Quiet Skies placed ordinary American passengers under surveillance by undercover air marshals on flights. Those air marshals would sit near the target passenger and document their behavior throughout the flight. Everything from their bathroom habits to how much they blinked was written into a report. Keep in mind that these were just regular travelers, not terrorists or criminals, and they were just people that had been flagged by an algorithm for reasons that were never fully made public. The program was shut down in 2025 after it came out that it had been used to monitor political figures, including Tulsi Gabbard, while at the same time, a sitting senator's husband had been placed on an exclusion list so he never had to go through a TSA security screening. And if that's not enough of a reason to have shut it down, Quiet Skies also cost over $200 million a year, and it never caught a single terrorist. Yikes. I would love to say that the backscatter scanners and quiet skies were the only uncomfortable things that came out of TSA, but that is not the case. For years, a private Facebook group with more than 18,000 current and former TSA employees was secretly running. When journalists got access to this Facebook group, they found posts that were mocking passengers, making comments about their appearance, and even content that was blatantly racist, violent, and inappropriate. The group was eventually taken down, but the fact that it existed for so long, with that many members and that kind of content, is pretty wild to think about. The next secret is that TSA has another program that does something very similar to Quiet Skies, except this time it's at the airport security checkpoint. And unfortunately, this one is still running. TSA spent over $1.5 billion to train certain officers in a program called SPOT, which stands for Screening of Passengers by Observation Techniques. Trained agents are specifically watching for behavioral cues at the security checkpoint that could be considered suspicious, like whether you're avoiding eye contact, sweating, or even if your Adam's apple moves in a certain way when you swallow. When researchers got a look at the actual list of over 90 behaviors that were being monitored, what they found was that almost every single indicator was something that a totally normal, innocent, possibly slightly nervous traveler would do. These behaviors included everything from excessive blinking to arriving late for your flight. And all of that brings us to the secret surrounding the dreaded SSSS code. Because once you know about SPOT and Quiet Skies, the idea that you're randomly selected becomes a little bit less convincing. SSSS stands for Secondary Security Screening Selection, and if you've ever seen those 4 letters printed on your boarding pass, then you know what you're in for. It's a longer process at the security screening checkpoint. TSA will tell you that it's random, and sometimes maybe it genuinely is, but it can also be triggered by a specific action. Actions that can trigger being flagged with SSSS include things like paying cash for a ticket, booking a one-way international flight, traveling last minute, or having any kind of discrepancy in your ID information. So if you have been flagged with SSSS more than once, it may be worth considering whether any of those factors are in play. I have been flagged with this code a few times, and each time it led to a pat-down, a swab test for explosives, a detailed search of all of my belongings, and a few extra questions about my travel, luggage, and work life. Many travelers have no idea that TSA screens checked bags the same way that they screen your carry-on suitcase at the security checkpoint. And if something looks suspicious on the scanner when your checked bag is being screened, they are going to open up your bag and have a look. Except unlike with your carry-on, when your checked suitcase is being searched, you aren't there to watch. TSA encourages travelers to use TSA-approved locks. These are the ones with the small Travel Sentry logo that TSA agents have a master key for. The idea is that agents can then open your suitcase if you have a TSA-approved lock, and then they can relock your bag without having to cut the lock off. What they do not tell you is that the master keys that they have for every TSA-approved lock were photographed, leaked, and copied years ago. You can actually buy a complete set on Amazon right now for under $10. So if you lock your bag with a TSA-approved lock, that means that anyone who gets near your bag is going to be able to open it, since they can get their own set of keys, take something, and then close it back up without leaving a single sign that they were ever there. If a TSA officer does need to open up your checked bag to inspect something inside, they are supposed to leave a note inside to let you know that they had opened it before they close it back up and lock it. I imagine that any corrupt TSA officer or corrupt baggage handler, or thief in general, is not going to be leaving a note after stealing something and zipping your bag back up. Zip ties on your zipper pulls are a better option. If someone cuts one to get into your bag, at least you will know that someone got into it. You might be surprised to learn that TSA doesn't always follow their own rules. And it's the agent at the checkpoint that's going to get the final call on what you can or can't bring through. Some rules are genuinely subjective, like the case where Dr. Tiffany Moon was stopped because her Alexander McQueen handbag has a decorative tiara-shaped handle that is technically shaped like brass knuckles, which are on the TSA's prohibited list. The agent told her she could use it to assault someone, which honestly, I think is true. Variability and unpredictability is also intentionally built into the screening process to help keep the bad guys on their toes. And sometimes a TSA agent isn't going to follow the rules at the checkpoint simply because they don't know them. There are a lot of rules to keep track of, and they are changing all the time. A traveler at Orlando International Airport was stopped for a pickleball paddle, even though pickleball paddles are explicitly listed as allowed on the TSA's own website. A purse and a pickleball paddle getting flagged may seem ridiculous, but I would personally rather see agents being extra cautious than let things slide considering what they actually do find. TSA's own Instagram listed their top 5s from 2025, which included everything from a replica pipe bomb to live turtles inside of a woman's bra at Miami. A lot of stuff gets taken away from travelers or even left behind at the TSA checkpoint, and if you have ever wondered what happens to all of that stuff, then you might be surprised by this next secret. It's a doozy. Confiscated items are turned over to the state where the airport is located, and from there, most of them end up sold through government-authorized marketplaces, including GovDeals, GSA auctions, and public surplus. There's even a physical store in Alabama that's called Unclaimed Baggage, where you can walk in and buy things that were taken from travelers or just lost by travelers at airports. Knives, tools, electronics, jewelry, sporting equipment. If TSA took it, there's a decent chance it eventually ended up on a shelf somewhere with a price tag. To avoid having your items confiscated and sold off at an auction, check out this video here next where I break down the most common things that TSA is taking from carry-ons right now. The link is in the video description, and I'll also put it on the screen now for you to watch next. Don't forget to hit subscribe to join Ollie and me back here for more travel tips and hacks each week, and we will see you in that next video soon. Bye.